Every single time you click or search or post something online, you're creating this tiny piece of a massive puzzle. And that puzzle is your digital self. But here's the thing, who actually owns that puzzle? In this explainer, we're going to dive into a pretty radical new idea that could completely change how you think about your data.
It all really starts with this simple but honestly incredibly powerful idea. Think about it. From the stuff we buy to the news we see, data is kind of this invisible hand shaping our world. It's not just playing catch-up with what's popular, it's literally creating what comes next.
And that brings us to the big question of our time, right? I mean, with AI becoming a bigger and bigger part of our lives, the data it learns from is more valuable than ever before. So who's in the driver's seat? Is it us, the people actually creating all that data, or is it someone else?
To get an answer, we're going to look at the vision from a company called Codata. They're proposing a really fundamental shift in how the internet works, and they're doing it by building something they call a new knowledge layer.
And this right here, this gets to the very heart of it. Just imagine for a second. What if every contribution you made online, an idea you shared, some feedback you gave, a data set you helped create, was treated like property? Like something you can verifiably own and actually benefit from. That's the whole promise of this knowledge layer.
Okay, so how in the world do you build a system like that? Well, the very first piece of the puzzle, the first part of the blueprint, is all about identity. And I'm not talking about just a username and password. We're talking about something way more fundamental. Let's call it your digital data passport. And get this, that passport has just been issued. Codata recently launched what they're calling DID v1. The key phrase to remember here is On-Chain Identity Anchor. It's basically the foundational piece that ties your digital self to this new economy, proving that you are you. So what even is a DID? Okay, think of it like this. Your current social media profile. That's kind of like a rental apartment. The platform owns the building, and they can change the locks on you whenever they want. A decentralized identifier, or a DID, is like owning the deed to your own house. It's a unique, verifiable identity that belongs to you and only you. And this is where it gets really cool, because that ownership actually matters. Once you have this digital passport, it becomes a key. It unlocks the ability to claim your own unique domains, to get involved in staking and earn rewards, and to get perks for doing tasks in the ecosystem. It's your ticket to the game. All right, let's move to the next part of the blueprint, because this is how it all starts to build. A system like this, well, it can't be built in a vacuum. It needs data, and even more than that, it needs people. This is where the community comes in.
So instead of just scraping data from the web or buying it from some shady broker, the whole approach here was collaborative. They held an event called Airdrop Season 1, where the community was invited to contribute data directly. And together, they built a really valuable asset, in this case, an open-source data set all about AI failures.
And the scale of this whole thing is where it gets truly impressive. It all started with over 10,000 users jumping in to participate in this first season. And together, they contributed a massive 160,000 individual data points. And of those, 47,000 have already been verified and brought on-chain, creating this incredible, high-quality foundation that's owned by the community. See, the whole point is this was built by the users for the users. Okay, so we have identity and we have a data asset built by the community. But what about the rules, right? For a system that's all about fairness to actually work, you need transparency. You need a clear set of rules of the road that everyone can see and, more importantly, trust. This slide just lays it all out side by side. On the left, you got the old way. Crazy high costs to get good data, and ownership that's, well, it's murky at best. But on the right, you have the new way. A system built on fair splits of value and something called verifiable provenance, which just means you can trace any piece of data right back to its original source.
So here's how it actually works, step by step. First, a piece of data gets submitted. Second, it's checked to make sure it's authentic. Third, and this is kind of the magic step, it gets recorded on-chain as a unique digital asset. It's like giving a serial number to a piece of knowledge. And finally, when that asset creates value, that value gets shared back with the person who contributed it in the first place. Simple, transparent, and fair.
Okay, let's zoom out for a second and connect all these dots back to the big picture. We've talked about identity, about community, and about the rules. So, what does it all add up to? Well, it points toward a whole new future for digital ownership. So here's the bottom line. You have a digital passport that you actually control. You have a knowledge base built by and for its own community. And you have a totally transparent rulebook that makes sure everything's fair. When you put them together, these three parts create a complete blueprint for a totally new way to think about data ownership.
Now, to wrap all this up, I want to leave you with something I found fascinating. The team at Codata prompted an AI with a simple concept, one that's right at the center of their whole mission. They just asked it to create an image of fairness.
And this was its answer. It didn't create an image of scales of justice or people sharing things. It came back with a technical vision. Neural networks, the very building blocks of AI, carefully balancing flows of data. It's a pretty striking image that gets right to the heart of this whole conversation.
And that leaves us with this final and I think critical question. The AI's vision of fairness is all about data, our data. As these AI systems keep learning and growing and starting to really define our world, the question of who provides their knowledge and who benefits from it, that's not just a tech question anymore. It's about the entire future of our digital society. And it's a question that all of us really need to be asking.